Hear that, Epstein? Cavelli say you put the sweat in sweat hogs.
Yeah, I heard him, Murray.
What if the role that made him famous nearly destroyed everything he built? What if behind the laughter of a beloved sitcom hid a brewing storm that no one saw coming, until it was too late? In the golden age of television, one young actor rose to global stardom overnight. But what he did next shattered every rule in Hollywood. Fame, fortune, private jets, luxury estates, even hidden heartbreaks. All part of a journey more dramatic than anything written in a script. And just when the world thought they knew his story, came a twist that changed everything. From shocking behind-the-scenes drama to secret business moves worth millions, this is the untold truth behind a legacy that almost slipped through the cracks. How did a fading show ignite a billion-dollar empire? And what final reunion revealed a heartbreaking goodbye no fan was ready for? Keep watching. The truth is wilder than fiction. Kaplan's early years in Bensonhurst, Brooklyn, left an indelible mark on his creative spirit. The real-life characters who inspired his wildly popular role in the show were drawn from his own experiences of schoolyard jibes and community strife. The show's famed sweat thogs weren't mere stereotypes. They were a raw reflection of the sweat and determination of an entire generation. As behind-the-scenes controversies escalated, so did the financial stakes. Celebrities like John Travolta, who auditioned for a role based on those larger-than-life Brooklyn characters, eventually soared into fame. His journey from an unknown hopeful to a Hollywood powerhouse, carrying a financial narrative as dramatic as the show itself. Travolta's early career was a tumultuous ride. He stepped into his role with a mix of raw talent and relentless ambition that later translated into a remarkable financial transformation. With a current net worth that ascends into the tens of millions, Travolta's rise, bolstered by savvy business ventures and high-profile movie deals, mirrors the unpredictable twists of Welcome Back, Kotter's off-camera story. And here's another hook to captivate you. Could the massive financial success of these stars be intertwined with the behind-the-scenes secrets that led to the show's abrupt cancellation? As the drama unfolded on set, disputes between stars like Vinnie Barbarino's real-life inspirations and their on-screen portrayals grew louder. The grudges were so intense that entire scenes had to be reshot separately, and off-set walkouts became a signature of discontent. The creative chaos wasn't confined only to the actors. Even behind closed doors, producers engaged in cunning maneuvers to drive viewership by pitting cast members against each other in carefully orchestrated conflicts. This relentless pursuit of drama wasn't without cost. Industry insiders now reveal that these conflicts drained not only the creative energy of the show, but also its financial lifeblood. Investors who once believed in the show's boundless potential watched as the internal turmoil led to skyrocketing production costs and dwindling revenues. An irony that speaks volumes of the price one pays for stardom and artistic integrity. A third hook here will leave you questioning. Can a show that once defined a generation really be reduced to a series of engineered controversies meant to hide its real financial downfall? The behind-the-scenes battles extended into the realm of luxury lifestyles and smart investments. While Gabe Kaplan and his colleagues poured their hearts into their performances, they also worked quietly behind the scenes to secure financial stability, much like the high-stakes game of Hollywood itself. Take, for example, Travolta's lavish journey. From owning vintage luxury cars like the classic Porsche 911 and Cadillac Fleetwood that echoed his early ambitions, to eventually acquiring a private jet and sprawling estates in California and New York. His collection of high-end watches, including rare Rolex models, wasn't just for show. It was a testament to disciplined wealth building, a strategy that many Hollywood elites have embraced to safeguard their fortunes. Insurance policies played a crucial role too. Travolta and others ensured that their assets were protected by robust personal and business insurance plans, covering everything from health to career interruptions. These financial moves were not arbitrary. They were calculated steps built on decades of industry experience and strategic risk management. The fourth hook strikes hard. What if the true story behind the show's downfall is tied to a financial miscalculation? A mismanaged legacy that even the brightest stars couldn't salvage. Even as the show faded from the airwaves, its impact remained etched into the cultural and financial fabric of Hollywood. The creative genius of Welcome Back, Kotter, with its raw humor and unfiltered portrayals of Brooklyn life, was never solely about entertainment. It was a blueprint of survival and reinvention. Vicissitudes of celebrity life, the legacy of the show underwent a transformation. Many realized that the very traits that made the show beloved, its irreverence, its raw depiction of reality, its unwillingness to sugarcoat the truth, were also the traits that ultimately sealed its fate. And yet, the enduring financial success of its stars, bolstered by strategic investments, diversified portfolios, and meticulously managed luxury assets, suggests that even in demise, the legacy of Welcome Back, Kotter continues to influence Hollywood today. Here's the final hook. Could it be that the secrets ABC buried about this legendary show are now the hidden keys to its stars' resurgent fortunes? With an estimated net worth climbing past $250 million, Travolta's fortune has been built on more than just screen presence. It's anchored in real estate, aviation, and smart business plays. He's owned several luxury homes, including a $4.9 million estate in Calabasas and his iconic Florida mansion with 2 private runways. That's right. Travolta, a certified pilot, houses his own jets on site, including a Boeing 707 and a Gulfstream. The man doesn't just fly private, he owns the skies. His garage reads like a millionaire's showroom. Vintage Thunderbirds, a Rolls-Royce Phantom, and a classic Mercedes-Benz 280 SL, among others. Watches? Think Breitling Navi timers and Rolex day dates, always gleaming on his wrist. Travolta also reportedly carries an insurance policy valued in the 8 figures, covering not only health and flight risk, but even ensuring production delays caused by his absence on film sets, a move more common among Hollywood A-listers than people think. His journey from Brooklyn classroom cool guy to global icon isn't just cinematic, it's a masterclass in transformation. But Travolta wasn't the only one whose path was paved with both opportunity and pain. Lawrence Hilton Jacobs brought a grounded brilliance to Freddie Boom Boom Washington. And though his fame never reached Travolta's meteoric levels, his consistency has been nothing short of admirable. A product of serious training and relentless work ethic, Hilton Jacobs had already made waves in Claudine and Death Wish before stepping into the Kotter world. His portrayal brought style and substance, always the sharpest mind in the room, never overplayed. And while the limelight dimmed for him after Kotter, his acting resume continued to grow across decades, from cult classics to animated voice work in The Proud Family, even into 2023. He represents the quiet success story. No tabloid chaos, no major fallouts, just steady work and respect in the industry. His estimated net worth is modest compared to Travolta, hovering around $1 to $2 million, but his impact, that's not measured in digits. And then there's Ron Palillo. Who could forget that unforgettable laugh and eager hand raised high? Arnold Horshack wasn't just comic relief, he was the beating heart of the show. But behind that laugh was a haunting truth. Palillo lost his father young, and the grief manifested in a stutter that made childhood incredibly difficult. Acting became therapy. That quirky laugh? Inspired by his father's final moments, a poignant mix of memory and healing. It's one of those truths that changes how you see everything. He never reached the heights of his co-stars, and his post-Kotter years were filled with voice work, small roles, and stage appearances. Sadly, his life was cut short in 2012 by a heart attack, but his legacy endures in the nostalgia that surrounds Welcome Back, Kotter. Palillo didn't chase fame. He gave everything he had to a character that still echoes in pop culture. While Kotter was charming audiences, a storm was brewing behind the scenes. Tensions flared between Gabe Kaplan and Marcia Strassman, so much so that filming their scenes required strategic separation. The chemistry on screen masked a deep divide off it, but the real betrayal came from higher up. ABC had a ratings goldmine but treated it like a pawn. Despite drawing over 21 million viewers weekly in its prime, Kotter was bounced around time slots with reckless abandon. The worst decision? Scheduling it opposite the Incredible Hulk. It was TV suicide, and the ratings plummeted as a result. In 1 year, it dropped from top 15 to 78th place. How does a cultural juggernaut lose momentum that fast? The answer lies in chaos behind the curtain, not lack of love from fans. Even the Emmy voters looked away. Despite the fever-pitch popularity, the show was snubbed time and time again. Travolta, who redefined teen heartthrob culture, never received a single nomination. Gabe Kaplan walked away during the final season after clashing with producer James Komack over the show's direction. Kaplan wanted the Sweat Thogs to graduate, to evolve. Komack refused. That creative stalemate sealed the show's fate. Kaplan only appeared in 8 episodes that year. The absence was palpable, and fans felt the void. A multiracial classroom was risky, they said. But that risk became its strength. Kotter portrayed students from Jewish, Black, Puerto Rican, and Italian backgrounds, learning together, laughing together, failing and growing. It was more than comedy. It was a reflection of a changing America, and the people embraced it, proving again that representation wasn't just necessary, it was powerful. Here's the twist that few saw coming. When reruns of the final season aired on Nick at Night years later, ratings plummeted again. The 4th season just couldn't recapture what once made people laugh, cry, and root for a ragtag classroom of underdogs. Without the heart, without Kotter, it wasn't the same. Now let's rewind to the man at the center of it all, John Travolta. The guy who once played the lovable Vinnie Barbarino had suddenly become the face of a cultural revolution. After Saturday Night Fever exploded in 1977, Travolta became one of the youngest Oscar nominees in history. Then came Grease in 1978. Hollywood had crowned its new king. He wasn't just a breakout star anymore, he was a global phenomenon. And with that kind of spotlight, TV suddenly seemed small. Travolta's transformation was seismic. While he was technically still part of Kotter, his appearances in the final season were down to just 10 episodes. And it showed. The cool, wisecracking Barbarino had been the glue for the Sweat Hogs. Without him, the chemistry fractured. The scripts felt hollow, and attempts to fill his shoes never quite landed. It was clear. Travolta's career was launching into the stratosphere, and Kotter was being left behind in the dust. But things weren't just unraveling on screen. Off-screen, the chaos was volcanic. Gabe Kaplan, the soul of the show, had originally fought to make Kotter more than just another sitcom. He saw it as a story of redemption, of giving struggling kids a shot, something close to his own experience growing up in Brooklyn. But his vision clashed with that of producer James Komack, who wanted more punchlines and fewer emotional arcs. The tension boiled over when Komack fired Kaplan's trusted writing team and brought in his own crew. That move, it changed everything. Here's one of those behind-the-scenes revelations that stops you cold. Kaplan was so fed up, he stepped away from the show, and his absence left a vacuum no one could fill. The writers tried to explain it with a line about Kotter being promoted to vice principal, but fans weren't fooled. They felt the shift. The heart of the story was missing, and so were the viewers. As the internal battles raged, something else was brewing. In 1978, Marcia Strassman, who played Julie Kotter, did the unthinkable. She broke her silence. In a rare, brutally honest interview, she painted a picture of a set soaked in tension. She called the atmosphere miserable and revealed she never knew which version of Kaplan she'd get on any given day. She even admitted she wished the show would just be canceled. It wasn't just a feud, it was emotional exhaustion, and it bled into the show's tone. Here's where things get wild. Strassman and Kaplan would reunite years later on The Tonight Show, and what unfolded stunned everyone. They realized they'd both been manipulated. According to them, Komack had been feeding each actor false stories about the others to keep them off balance. It was a mind game that shattered trust and poisoned the environment. By then, it was too late. The warmth that made the show special had evaporated, replaced by guarded performances and awkward energy. And let's not forget the early resistance this groundbreaking show faced. When Kotter premiered in 1975, not everyone embraced it. Teachers' unions feared that its portrayal of goofy students and a laid-back teacher might harm the image of educators. The American Federation of Teachers even sent a representative to monitor scripts, worried the public would take the wrong message. Kaplan mocked the scrutiny, once joking, "Is there a junk man on the set of Sanford and Son to protect the reputation of junk men?" It was funny, sure, but the tension was real. Boston, of all places, took it a step further. In the middle of a fierce desegregation crisis, the local ABC affiliate outright refused to air Kotter at first. An integrated classroom? A bunch of underachieving kids learning together? For some, it hit too close to home, but audiences elsewhere loved the authenticity. And after just a few episodes, even Boston caved. But back to Travolta, his departure wasn't just a blow to the show's dynamic. It marked the moment, welcome back, Kotter stopped being the phenomenon it once was. Travolta's film success eclipsed his TV roots, and he didn't look back. His career took a detour in the 80s, but would explode again in the 90s with Pulp Fiction. One of the most jaw-dropping elements of Travolta's life is his real estate empire. His primary residence? A 6,600 square foot mansion in Ocala, Florida, built inside a fly-in community. Yes, a house with a private runway and aircraft hangar, because Travolta is a licensed pilot who owns at least 5 planes, including a Boeing 707 and a Gulfstream. The Ocala estate is valued at over $10 million alone. But that's just one piece of the portfolio. He also previously owned a stunning Mediterranean-style villa in Brentwood, Los Angeles, and an oceanfront estate in Maine where he reportedly spent quiet moments with his late wife, Kelly Preston. These properties, combined, push his real estate value over the $30 million mark. And then there's the cars. Travolta has a taste for vintage muscle and high-end luxury. His collection has included a Rolls-Royce Phantom, Jaguar XJ6, a classic Thunderbird, and even a 1970 Mercedes-Benz 280 SL. Each vehicle tells a story. Each engine a memory of a time when movie stars weren't just performers, they were icons. One of the most fascinating details, his watch collection. Travolta has been a brand ambassador for Breitling for years, often seen wearing rare aviation models. He's also been spotted with Rolex Daytonas and vintage Omegas, each piece valued at tens of thousands, and part of a curated lifestyle built on precision and prestige. But here's the kicker that surprises even longtime fans. Travolta's financial strategy was never about flash. It was about protection. Over the years, he's reportedly held multiple insurance policies, not just on health and property, but also on career disruption and aircraft liability. Smart, forward-thinking choices that reveal just how calculated his moves have always been. This wasn't just a man riding a wave of fame. He was quietly mastering the surfboard. Travolta's entrepreneurial spirit didn't stop with Hollywood. He invested in aviation schools, launched wellness ventures, and collaborated with high-end brands that matched his timeless global image. One of his rumored equity deals involved a luxury resort partnership in the Bahamas, and though private, insiders suggest the return has been significant. And as the years passed and Hollywood changed, Travolta remained relevant, not just as an actor, but as a symbol of adaptability. Even after devastating personal losses, including the passing of his wife, Kelly Preston, and son Jet, Travolta stayed grounded, resilient. His vulnerability during public tributes and interviews offered fans a raw, honest look at a man who once lit up the screen, now searching for peace. What can we learn from his financial and personal journey? For one, timing matters. Travolta knew when to step back and when to leap. He leveraged his fame into ownership, not dependency. And perhaps the most powerful lesson, he diversified not just income streams, but his emotional foundation. Family, passion for aviation, love of travel, all became part of his brand, not just accessories to it. But as the lights dimmed on the set of Welcome Back, Kotter, no one could have predicted the ripple effect it would leave. Travolta's character, Vinnie Barbarino, became the template for cool. Without him, we wouldn't have had Zach Morris or even Joey Tribbiani. And when the final episode aired without a goodbye, without closure, audiences felt it. It wasn't just a show ending, it was a cultural heartbeat fading. Yet, decades later, the echo still resonates. Travolta, standing on stage in 2011, thanking Gabe Kaplan and the cast, reminded everyone of what that era meant, of how one role, one show, could change everything. In the end, the real measure of a star isn't just in awards or net worth, it's in legacy. And Travolta's legacy is deeply layered. He turned a sitcom into a stepping stone. He built an empire while staying grounded in humanity. He faced unimaginable grief and still moved forward, always flying, always dreaming. There's something poetic about that. The boy who played a high school heartthrob now soaring above the clouds in his own jet, carrying memories, history, and lessons we're still learning from. And as we look ahead to the future, whether it's new film projects or silent retreats from the public eye, one thing remains certain. John Travolta didn't just survive Hollywood, he outmaneuvered it. So the next time you hear the chords of Welcome Back, remember, it wasn't just a theme song, it was a launch pad. And for Travolta, it marked the start of one of the most extraordinary journeys in entertainment history.